So today I'm going to be comparing the Z Fold 7 with the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. Which foldable phone is better? Well, I'm going to give you some answers, and honestly, those answers might surprise you. So with all that being said, let's get right into it and let's compare these two phones. So for some reason, there is a lot of hate for the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. A lot of people got the phone in and they were expecting something revolutionary, and instead they got something that was a little bit boring. Honestly, I love what Jaime Rivera said when he compared it to a Toyota. And something like the Z Fold 7, it's sort of like a really fast sports car. You get the best processor in the Z Fold 7, the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Somehow they have a super thin and light design that just looks incredible. It feels absolutely revolutionary and new and exciting. And then, well, getting that 200 megapixel camera to fit in this design, all of those things, getting a flagship camera, getting a super awesome thin phone, and getting something very different than we're used to from Samsung. Those things all together really made people fall in love with the Z Fold 7. And then the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold comes around, and it's a little bit boring. It's the same type of design as last year with the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, but the difference is this has a larger battery size. The bezels are a little bit larger on the screen here, and some people aren't going to like that. But on the other hand, we now have great dust and water resistance. So we have a more durable phone that is going to last longer. We have Google Pixel software, which is quite good. We don't have to deal with all of the Samsung apps on here. And the hinge, I am telling you, because of how they designed this to be so good with dust, the hinge is so good. We don't hear a bunch of annoying brushes in the background. We don't have to worry about a bunch of dust getting behind the screen. So a lot of these things make the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold very good and very special, but not quite like the Z Fold 7 or not quite as unique and flashy. So that means everyone is going to have a preference here. Some people will prefer the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold and some people will prefer the Z Fold 7. And it's all about you figuring out what you prefer. So let's get right into it, okay? First off, this Z Fold 7, it does cost $2,000. Now I know it's been on sale a little bit recently, but it's going to go on sale off and on, just like the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold will. But if we look at the retail price alone, $2,000 here, and the Google phone here, well, it's going to be $1,800. So it's going to be cheaper, and that means when it goes on sale, it will probably be a little bit cheaper when it's on sale too. And when we go beyond that and look at the designs of the phone, you're gonna find out again, different philosophies. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold is a little bit thicker, but the speakers are louder and it has a bigger battery and it has a unique hinge, and all of those things will be worth it for some people. They might not want the flashy thing and they might not care if their phone is a little bit heavier in the hand, but maybe you just want a little bit of extra battery life, or maybe you don't want to have to worry about any dust getting in your hinge. If you are that person, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold is for you, and forget about all the haters on YouTube and forget about a lot of those people. It is a good phone that you should consider. Now the Z Fold 7 on the other hand, it is just very, very thin. And that is a big deal because foldable phones, they have been way too heavy. In fact, I had the regular Google Pixel Fold whenever it came out, and I loved it. But then I got rid of it because it was just too heavy. I found myself using the outer display here a little bit more often than I thought I would. And I was thinking to myself, why would I use a phone that's so heavy on this outer display just so I could open it up every once in a while? I would rather have a thinner phone, a lighter phone, and then I could get a tablet for those specific use cases. I could get a good phone and a good tablet. And to be honest, a lot of you should just do that anyway. But if you're someone who wants both a phone and a tablet in one, you want a unique form factor, one of the things that would really be a big deal is the weight. And there are times when I'm using the Pixel 10 Pro Fold that it does just feel a little bit too heavy on this outer display. And I have to admit, I have been a little bit spoiled. I have been using things like the Galaxy S25 Edge. I have been using phones like the Z Fold 7. So now using the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold for me, it does feel slightly too heavy on the outer display. But on the other hand, I do prefer the aspect ratio of the screen. If you notice, the screen is just a little bit wider, and that is a really big deal for those people that want their phone to have that wide look. You might want to open up your phone and have it be wider because videos will look a little bit better on it, and in general, you might prefer a little bit of a book style to open up your phone. Now the Z Fold 7, it's taller. And that taller aspect ratio means you could see a little bit more things on social media. It's a little bit better for scrolling around. So it really does depend on who you are and your preferences. Some people would prefer that taller screen so they could get a little more on their screen and just scroll around, right? And some people would prefer a wider screen, which is a little bit better for media watching. Now, even if you don't like the aspect ratio of the Z Fold 7, you could always just flip the phone around, right? It's not a big deal. You could still get that wider display by flipping it. But some people would still prefer to have a wider cover display. So when I factor all that in, yeah, I give the edge to the Z Fold 7 as far as the design, but it's not by much. And I will say, if you are okay with a slightly heavier folding phone, then when you look at it, it's not going to be that big of a deal for you. Now let's talk about the displays here, because they are very, very similar. You're not going to see anything crazy as far as the brightness differences, because the Z Fold 7, it's only about 300 or 400 nits less bright than the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. The Pixel 10 Pro Fold does get like 3000 nits of peak brightness. That is ridiculous. You're not going to need anything more than that. And when you look at the Z Fold 7, it's going to be very, very similar in brightness anyway. The screens both look amazing. They look incredible for watching content. You're not really going to notice the crease much on either phone. I would say it's very similar in my experience. So whenever you're watching your content and going around on your phone, doing some gaming, they're both going to look terrific. Now, there is no anti-reflective coating or anything like that, but still, I'm loving the screens here. But the performance is where the Samsung really shines, because we do have a very good Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. Now the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, on the other hand, it does have a Tensor G5 processor and 16 gigs of RAM. So that RAM is terrific, but realistically, it benchmarks much lower whenever you're comparing it with the Z Fold 7. And why is that? Well, it's just not as powerful. But Google does such a good job with software that they mostly make up for it. Day to day, you are not going to notice performance being all that much different. The Pixel has such smooth animations, it feels so good going from app to app, apps aren't force closing out or anything like that. I've had such a good experience that I'm not noticing any lag or any hiccups or anything like that when I am using this Pixel phone. Now the Z Fold 7 does only have 12 gigabytes of RAM in the base model as far as the RAM goes, but either way it can go up to 16 gigs of RAM, and the phone does feel lightning fast because it just has more processing power. So it is super smooth, super fast. That Snapdragon 8 Elite is amazing, but it's also great for gaming too. If you are looking to game, from what I've heard, I'm not a big gamer. Okay, I don't push my phone to the limit with gaming. I do game on my phones, and I'm telling you, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, it can hold its own. It will game very, very well. But the Z Fold 7, it does such a good job because with the GPU and everything it has, it is just going to fly through stuff as far as games. So I would say a game like Genshin Impact that maybe on the Z Fold 7 you'll play on high settings, maybe you'll play that game on medium settings on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold to get similar performance. It's not really that big of a deal for most people. So I really don't like the characterizations I'm seeing out there saying, oh, the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, it's just not that good, and oh, I get it. Like, people love to look at benchmarks, but realistically, it's going to be close in performance with the Z Fold 7, but I would give the nod to the Z Fold 7 technically as far as power. But software experience, it is still a preference now. Some people would prefer the software on the Z Fold 7 because it does have Samsung DeX. I think Google phones are a little cleaner with the software. I prefer the animations, and I even prefer the multitasking. So on a Google Pixel phone, if you are looking to multitask with two different apps, at least on this foldable phone here, you could actually slide over one of the apps, and then you could go back and forth between them. So you can't have three apps open at the same time. I know the Z Fold 7, congratulations, you can't have three apps open. And some people really, really like that. But some people don't need three apps. but you also have all of these extra AI features that Google has, and Samsung has their own Galaxy AI, which is terrific. They've got a lot going on, but I also love the extra features. Like Google has a ton of AI features, and that's when I would lean a little bit in the software side and lean towards the Google Pixel. So yes, I do think that the Z Fold 7 has a slightly better design. I do think that the displays are fairly equal, and when we look at performance, we are going to get better performance once again on the Z Fold 7. The design, the performance, and the 200 megapixel camera. Those are really the things that draw people to the Z Fold 7. And when we go to those cameras, right, the main camera, I'm not talking about the secondary cameras. By the way, those secondary cameras normally aren't all that good. The telephoto cameras, they're going to be similar between these two phones and all that, but the main camera is still going to be better on the Z Fold 7. And why is that? Because you're getting the same camera here that you have on the S25 Ultra. When we go to the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold, you're going to notice the camera here, it's the same as the Google Pixel 9a. So you're talking about a camera that's in like a mid-range phone. Now Google, they do so good with their software that they make it work, and pictures of your family or just pictures out in nature, they're going to look very, very good. And Google now, they are starting to use AI whenever you try to take a picture really far away. They're using AI to consider what it would look like and just make it better. Get rid of a bunch of noise and just make it look smoother overall. And that is going to give Google a little bit of an edge maybe in some of these zoom shots. But then it's just very artificial. Like you might take a picture of some words and it might look at the words and think it knows what it says, and then it just puts it there, but it doesn't mean it's authentic or actually what it looks like. So I know we all talk about what is a photo and all that. There's a lot of AI stuff going on with the Pixel photos here, but still the photos look good. I would say the camera is going to be good. Even the video quality will be good on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, but it's not going to be great, and it will not be as good as the Z Fold 7. The Z Fold 7 does a great job with 4K video, it does a great job with the pictures of my family, and it does give you a little extra detail whenever you are taking photos. So that's why a lot of people, they are just saying, you know what, the Z Fold 7 is better. And I get why they would say that, don't get me wrong. Like the Z Fold 7, it is such a good phone. It is awesome with the design. It has a great looking display. The fact that you have such a thin and light phone that you can open up into a tablet, it's very, very good. But a lot of people are just sleeping on the little things and why someone would actually want something like the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold. You see this phone right here? It does have a 5,015 milliamp battery. The Z Fold 7 only has a 4,400 milliamp battery. And with all of the efficiency gains we've seen from the Tensor G5, I am getting better battery life overall from this Pixel 10 Pro Fold. I am getting around 7 hours or so of screen on time, and I'm getting around 6 or a little bit less on the Z Fold 7. So overall, the battery life here is going to be better on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. The pictures are still more than good enough for most people, and they still look really, really nice, especially with your family or with stuff outside. Some people would even prefer the color science on the Pixel photos. Like, the photos do look really, really good. Performance? Well, no, it's not quite as good as the Snapdragon 8 Elite, but it's still very, very close. But some people would prefer the software of Google. And whenever you look at other things, like the dust resistance, right? That is going to be a monstrous deal, and the aspect ratio. And I almost forgot to mention Pixel Snap, and that is basically MagSafe for Android, but a lot of people are going to care about that if they don't like to use a case and they could have MagSafe on their Android phone. That's going to be a pretty big deal to some people. All of these little things add up and really make someone enjoy a foldable phone. I really love the cover display being wider, so whenever I'm using a cover display, I would prefer to use the cover display on the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. No doubt about it, and that does mean something. Just using a wider screen is going to make a big difference for some people. Whenever you open up the phone, using a wider phone, it just feels a lot nicer to use in my opinion. So the aspect ratio could be a really big deal, and the Google software could be a big deal, the dust resistance could be a big deal, and the battery life could be a big deal. So the question is, what is a big deal to you? What do you really care about? Who cares what the YouTubers say? And who cares what reviewers would say? You have to ask yourself, do you care about the weight? Do you care about the feel of it whenever it's so light in the hands on the cover display? Or do you want a wider cover display? Do you care more about the 200 megapixel camera, which is really, really nice? Or do you want dust resistance or a little bit better battery life? Do you prefer better benchmarks or do you prefer the Google Pixel software? These phones go neck and neck, and it really just depends on who you are and what you prefer. I don't necessarily think one phone is so much better than the other. Despite what everyone is saying on the internet, it is really a close call this year. Technically, I would say if I were to rate both of these phones, I would give the edge to the Z Fold 7. I know I didn't sound like it a lot in this video, and that's because I'm trying to let people know that the Pixel is better than I expected. It's better than I thought it would be, and it's better than a lot of people are saying online. But that doesn't mean the Z Fold 7 is bad. Truth be told, I have been raving about this phone. This phone really changed my mind in so many ways about foldable phones. It's more durable than previous years. It feels so good whenever I'm using it day to day. It is so lightweight. It is a marvel. And to me, a 200 megapixel camera as a creator is a really, really big deal. And the battery size being a little bit smaller, it's not that big of a deal when you get a phone that's so light and thin. You could still just throw it on a charger really quick. So overall, I think they're both great, and it really just does depend on who you are and what you prefer. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please give me a like and give me a sub. Don't forget, I cover a ton of Android content, Android tablets, I cover a lot of budget phones even, so I go all over the map with Android. So if you like that, feel free to follow my channel and check out some other videos. And also check those links, because if you want a deal on these, hey, you might find a deal in the links in the description there. So thank you all so much for watching, and no matter what you're going through, I hope you have a great day, and I really, really hope you enjoy your week.